Now, Clicks is under fire after a hair campaign for Tresemme products showed discriminatory images of black hair juxtaposed with white hair. Now, this sparked massive public outrage as some people took to social media calling for a boycott of Clicks stores. The EFF itself will be embarking on a shutdown of all 800 stores, similar to the shutdown they initiated against H&M 2 years ago. We're asking, is this the right approach to getting redress and transformation? And to give us some analysis on the story now, we're joined by analyst and head of programs at Orwell Socio-Economic Research Institute, Ibrahim Fakir. So, Ibrahim, we spoke to the EFF this morning, who believes this is the right action to be taken against the brand Clicks, given that Clicks has also refused to take some of the other steps that the EFF was demanding. What's your take on the shutting down of all stores?
Well, Michelle, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised. Obviously, the EFF is going to say that this is the correct approach because it's in their interest to say so. So that's no surprise. But, I mean, whether it is or it isn't is a different question. I mean, whether it in fact is a different question. So, granted, they feel aggrieved, and many other people do. Granted that they believe this is the best course of action, but they're a political party. It's in their interest to believe and express the conviction that they believe that this is so. But I mean, we got to place this in context. This is a party which, for the past 4 months, has literally been at sea as the society battles a pandemic. They really have been at sixes and sevens to find some degree of relevance because they were completely cut out of most of the major decision-making. There was no real parliamentary sessions in order to display the kind of debilitating and destructive politics they generally engage in with regard to destabilizing institutions and so on. And lastly, look, it's a party which needs funds. It's a party which needs to grab the headlines. It's a party which works with the news cycle and what's in the news cycle and tries to exploit it to a maximum. So you take those 4 reasons. One of those is about generating resources, and then it makes perfectly rational sense for them to do something of this sort. So, you know, I'm not surprised that they have the conviction that this is the only way to go. But does it extract and does it necessarily get concessions? I'm not sure it necessarily works. If you think about what happened at the time of the H&M debacle, much of what the EFF did didn't actually result in consequating anything of any material substance. But look at alternative approaches. And alternative approaches did in fact yield a set of tangible benefits. A bunch of people were in fact called to meet with the board of H&M. They managed to extract certain commitments around local procurement, local content in terms of production, certain minimum guarantees around the return of jobs, and certain benefits for workers who work at H&M. So there's an alternative approach to how mishaps of this nature can be leveraged for actual change. So there's a whole bunch of people who work at Clicks, and I've never seen the kind of outrage when it comes to questions of casualization of work, of outsourcing of work, of reduced pay, to the extent that there have been for wage freezes, for kind of wage moderation, with the rampant inequality that happens in the company. And here, it must be some kind of extremely brittle sense of black consciousness, a very fragile, a very overwrought, and a very insecure one, which believes that it must project its confidence and its strength over something which is seemingly inconsequential, actually.
It was interesting when I spoke to the Secretary General of the EFF a little earlier this morning, and I questioned him on whether there were other ways of dealing with the advert, of responding to the advert, and his response was that he doesn't know of anyone who wants to work for a racist company. I mean, in effect, it doesn't address with the myriad of other issues that workers, not only at Clicks, around the country deal with every day. It's just a PR stunt, from what you're saying.
Well, it seems like to me, but I mean, that's in some views, that's what, and certainly in mine, that's what this party is in fact about. Undermines the kind of genuinely indigenous institutions that have been built over time. It will affect the real productivity, the real opportunity for people to work at this organization. Now, that doesn't mean that if you feel aggrieved about something, that you must sit back and take it lying down. The question is, first, is the sense of aggrievement commensurate to what you're going to take action on, number one? Is there some relationship between the two? Second, is there an alternative way to actually procure something more meaningful and more tangible? Three, does it go beyond a mere stunt? Is there something really sustainable? And all of these three questions, one would unfortunately have to answer no. But it must then tell you something about the society, which is so easily led by the nose on a brittle understanding of what it means to be self-confident, or what it means to project a sense of aggrievement over something, which really, in the end of the day, when you really look at it carefully, is there a relationship between the action you wish to take and the kind of grief or the kind of problem you're trying to address? Now, on the scale of problems that we face as a society, on the scale of problems that are animating everyone's minds, I'm not sure that there is this necessary relationship. So, unfortunately, if you say, do I have to call it a PR stunt, I'll have to say that it is. But, it's not an irrational one. It makes perfect sense for them to do so, because they have no other options in terms of campaigning, in terms of mounting any kind of serious accountability or oversight measures in institutions, or to impact any kind of major policy, or really to garner a set of resources. And look, every other time that they've done something of this sort, those companies have pandered to them, and however little it might be, it's still some kind of revenue-raising exercise.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that something bigger comes out of this if it does indeed go ahead, which the EFF has said it will. Ibrahim Fakir, thanks very much for your time this morning on the AM Report. Ibrahim is Head of Programs at ASRI.